Oh yeah, yeah, right. Try to get past all of the stuff. Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Yep. Okay, I feel like I'm at the attention center. Okay, I use one there. Um, Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Um, does anybody need a handout, or did everybody get a handout that wants one? You want a handout? She needs one. Do we have an extra handout, Julie? We don't have an extra. I am sorry. I thought I made enough copies. Um, okay. I apologize. Um, okay. Um, today, we're gonna look at. We're gonna the topic will be, what does Jesus see when he looks at the people in Stark and Carroll, in every county around, any place. Okay, and the church is a hospital spiritually for us, for anybody that comes in here. That's what the church is. We're a hospital. We're here to um, to do surgery on people spiritually. Okay, you don't want to see me doing any work, you know, on real surgery. That wouldn't be good. And you know, and so we're so thankful for any opportunity that we do have, like the people that Mrs. Sunday was able to have come in, and it was amazing. That was amazing. That that was it. 34 people from your agency, and I'm thinking, you know what? That is so amazing. And there was a good reason then when they took the workshops and they privatized them, because I can assure you that had you know I asked, Stark County Board, could I take 34 people to church? They would have said no. I mean, literally, they would have said no. I mean, huh? Okay, right. You didn't have to ask a board. The county boards were started by mainly Christian parents seeking to have a place for their disabled children, young children for school age, and then older children for going into the workshops and stuff. They were actually started like for that. But then, like anything that the government gets a hand in, they changed it. They changed it dramatically, okay, to the point where they became just another social agency that the government was basically running, and it became um, not so friendly to 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 um, the Christian values, not friendly at all. And as I mentioned one time, uh, a manager, there's a friend of mine. She said, "Can I talk to you for a minute?" I said, "Sure." She goes, this was when they were going to be voting in Ohio on uh, um, gay marriage. All right, and I just expressed a negative on it, but not to anybody, just maybe to one person or something like this. But it wasn't real defaming or anything like that. Nothing at all. And she goes, it came to their attention. Somebody had brought it to the management's attention. She goes, I just want you to know, I'm telling you this as a friend, that should they push the issue, um, they'll get 100% of our support, and you'll get zero. In fact, Dave, your career will be over here. Basically. I'm like, well, thanks, Denise. That's really good news to know. I appreciate that. Thanks for sharing that. But she was true, and she was telling the truth. And that's so. Anyway, that is the state of the situation there. Um, in Stark County right now, there are they well, on their website anyway. They're saying that they're serving 4,100 people in the Stark County area. And I do not know the figures for Carroll County or Summit County or any other the counties around about us. Okay, but so they are serving that. But these are more than just numbers. Just like any place else here, any people in Magnolia, these are people, and there's people that God cares about, and he does, and he cares. And we're going to be talking. And this, we are not a social agency. So churches are not a social agency, but we do seek to reach out and bring the gospel to anybody, anywhere, at any time. And we're thankful for the opportunities that we get. And now, when we look at the social agencies, and we're like, well, the some of the social agencies that are trying to help, okay, such as Stark Stark it's called Stark County Help Control.com, and they're trying to help people get out of gangs. That's a good thing, trying to get people out of gangs. But they also try to help people come out, not come out like get it over with, but they want people to come out and be proud of that, the LGBTQT plus community. Now the problem is that they're not doing a good job at any of it. Okay, they're not. All right. How would you say the inner city schools are doing on education? Not real well. And we could go on. How would you say they're they're doing on um, many other the police? I know somebody just is just going to be starting here shortly for Summit County, and praise God for that. Praise God for those, and because they're dealing with uh, children. We would like to get them early, okay, but when you don't, they grow up. And the I'll just say one thing about gangs. The gangs, there's a point to this. The gangs, you know what? That's their family. It really is. I used to hang around on 33rd Street in Canton, when I was a kid growing up. Okay, but there wasn't gangs there. There was some bad people, but there wasn't gangs. But there is now, and there is in Cleveland, big time. Okay, in fact, they had a video. They had a video on TV. It's got to be real. It was Channel 8, and it was a police video, and they're showing that there's some, yeah, real, not so good gang activity in the Cleveland area. And they just showed it, I think, to just make a point. And these young men, they have not they grow up with in a family environment that usually there's one parent, and that parent usually has little or no control over them, and that child does whatever they want, and he goes wherever they want. And my son lived in Canton City. He said, Dad, he said, if you've got anything you don't want, he goes, bring it over to my house. If he goes he goes, we'll set it outside, in about an hour it'll be gone. He goes, and it was true. And he forgot to close his garage door like for an hour when he cut grass, and his bikes were gone, and he had, how many things do you have stolen? Okay, so anyway, so we're we would it would be it's would be great to have the opportunities to reach out to these young men and young girls, because the attention center in Tuscarawas County, they come from all other counties, but it's all girls right now, and it's actually a good thing because it's kind of smallish, and the girls and the boys, together is not a good mix, not at all. And guess there, the girl asked me the G question. No, not God. The other G question, the big G question. Do you go to hell if you're gay? And I'm like, wow, this is a sensitive, hot topic question. And I try to be very sensitive, and explained that no, we don't go to hell because of one particular sin over another sin. It's because we're lost. We're lost, and we're separated, and we need that payment for that sin that we can never make. And Brother Rob answered that at a Sunday school class. Somebody asked something pretty similar to that, not exactly like that, on that thing, and he answered it pretty well. And I hate to say anything that would be good for Rob, but no, 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 he did answer it really good. And I try to be sensitive because they are really they can be really picky. Okay, not not the girl, not the children, but necessarily, but the organization. They have to be careful. But we can be really thankful that there are some good Christians. There's supposedly the head administrator in Tuscarawas County is supposedly is a Christian. I know there's several others that there was another staff person there that when I was there not too long ago really expressed Christian values on a lot of the things that I was talking about there. Kermit James uh, was when he worked there. He is retired now, and he's here today. Thank you, Kermit, for being here today, and great Christian values, and they were lucky to have him at the attention center. All right, so we are going to get to the does everybody's got a hand. If you desire to fill in these things, I do have some Gatorade and things like that. If you desire to fill that out, if you want to, this is optional. It's not mandatory. Okay, I'll just do a quick prayer, and we're going to go through this real quick. Lord, thank you for today. Thank you for the opportunity to share your word. Thank you for everybody that's here, Lord. We just pray that you would show us what you have, Lord, for us, for to glorify you and to build your kingdom. In the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen. So we're going to start in Luke chapter 13. Luke chapter 13. And we're going to be looking at Jesus, and he's in a synagogue. On verse number 10, he's in a synagogue, and um, he's teaching. He's teaching, and it's on a Sabbath day, so that's important. It's on a Sabbath day. And what is Jesus always doing? Wherever people are, Jesus is there. And he wants to, one of his main goals is, this is the first thing, is to spread the gospel. And again, that's what the church is, spread the gospel. It is super great if the people can come into the church, but sometimes it's good to reach out also to the people. But again, that's amazing that we can get people in there, and not to forget we do some outreaches. And this Saturday there will be an outreach in East Canton, Ohio, and it's a sportsman's spread, and it is an outreach. It's just to reach out to people, especially sportsmen that like hunting and fishing. So, verse number 11, and behold, there was a woman which had a spirit of infirmity 18 years, and was bowed together, and could in no wise lift up herself. All right, and so here's a woman, and she's crippled, and she's been like that for 18 years, and she can't lift up her head, and she can't even reach up to get cooking utensils, and she can't stretch out her feet and arms so much that's as if they've been tied together. And in fact, I'm imagining this. I don't know what you see it when you read that, but I'm imagining that she's actually bent over, almost like in an arch shape. And would you like to be? I don't think anybody would like to be that, but I have seen some people that have had severe arthritis type conditions that could not straighten up whatsoever. And this was even worse. And she was, this was a disease, and that now Satan put this on her. Okay, not every disease is because of Satan. Okay. And when we go, if you go far enough back, where the disease and everything came from, it came from the fall. The fall. We're still living through it. We're living in it right now. We're living in, a fallen world, and that's why we have everything that goes on here. And so she can't do that. Um, Jesus. Okay. So verse. Wait a minute. This woman. She's been crippled for 18 years. I'm just trying to make sure that I didn't miss any. She can't reach out. She's bent over like an arch. Disease and physical disabilities and sin can bind our bodies. So disease and disability can bind our body, but also sin can bind us. Sometimes you can see the sin, it's obvious. Sometimes you can't. Nevertheless, sin can bind us. And ultimately, the Bible tells us that sin leads to death. And our our first our first reaction may be to feel that these people, whether they're here, whether they come in here, or whether we see them out on the street, wherever it is, our first reaction may be that they're beyond help. All right, but nobody's beyond help. They're not beyond help. So in verse 12, and when Jesus saw her, he called her to him and said unto, oh, it wrinkled over. Woman, thou art loosed from thine infirmity. There's a big thing there, is that first of all, Jesus sees her. He sees all of us. And without being asked by anyone, Jesus calls her to come close to him. And Jesus knows she's been bent over like this for 18 years, and he knows that Satan's done this. All right. And Satan um, Satan will do anything he can to ruin our lives, to make things difficult for us. But also just plain old. I think Pastor mentioned this, that just plain old age will will do that to us. Okay, you know what? The minute we're born, we start to grow old. Okay, in Stark County, there were oh, okay, I got there was we're gonna look at a couple things, but there were 44 total nursing homes in Stark County, and I multiplied that by 50 people and I came out with 2,200. That that was just a ballpark nursing homes. Okay. But I would say, I hate to say it, but these are some of the most forgotten people in the world. Literally, we knew a guy, nicest guy, his name was Woody, and he had like 5 children, and as far as we knew, they hardly ever came to see him. Okay, and this was a common thing that the group home would say about more than just one person, that nobody came to see him. Okay, and so that's a forgotten group. And Jesus sees all the needs of all the people. He sees, okay, not only does he see that, but he sees the harvest. He sees the people are ready for harvest. Okay, the fields are ready for harvest. All right, so he's looking out, and when he sees somebody in need, it's not somebody that's a problem, it's somebody that needs help. They really are. And Jesus wants to move close to people that are sick and being controlled by sin, and Jesus always has compassion for for um, for the sick and for sinners. Okay, so I'm not comparing. There's a difference between somebody that's sick and somebody that's sinners. Okay, what here's a but where when you always see Jesus, where he's always hanging out. He's hanging out with sick people and he's hanging out with sinners. When's the last time you went out and said, "I'm gonna go hang out with some sick people. I'm gonna go hang out with some sinners"? Okay, but you know what? That's what he did, because he saw the needs. And I had just two verses. Matthew 14 was uh, John the Baptist has just died, and Jesus is going to go to a solitary place to get away. The people find him, they bring the sick people there, and Jesus still heals them. He's trying to get away, but he's emotionally, distraught from this, and he still does it. Can I say that I would always do that? No, I can't say that. Um, and he does do that, and he heals him. And then the other one, Matthew 15:22, it's actually it's not a sick person, but there is a sick person there, and it's a Gentile, just to show you that God, Jesus doesn't discriminate. It was a Gentile, and he actually uses a word on her at one point, but the Jews spoke of Gentiles as dogs. But you know what? Jesus had compassion. That's the thing he always had, was compassion. And she said, yeah, he goes, I can't help you. I'm only sent to the lost people of Israel. But she goes, yeah, but he used the word dog that Israel used for Gentiles. She goes, yeah, but the dogs, eat from the scraps that fall from the children's table, or the master's table. I mean it. And he saw her, her desire to reach out, and he saved, or he healed her daughter, that again was demon possessed. All right. So where we're at. So Jesus lays. Did I miss anything? Jesus always has compassion for. Okay. Verse 13. And he laid his hands on her, and immediately she was made straight and glorified God. Jesus laid his hands on her, and she is healed right away. Right away. God doesn't. He always spiritually wants to heal us right away. I even believe he wants physical healing us right away. But sometimes it's not in that person's best interest. But the one thing we can know for sure is that in eternity, we're going to be every person is going to be totally healed physically. Everything, it's going to be total healing. Is it going to be like that here on earth? No, it's not going to be like that. Okay, because we have our own sin nature. And also we have Satan, which we've mentioned several times, who desires to bind us. He desires to keep us under his control. And because of that, talking about these people, there's in Stark County. I keep using Stark County, but there's 580 approximately a year reports of elder abuse in Stark County, and of course they have to investigate that and everything like that. But just to show you, that there's no people that Satan won't go after. There's he if we, even us, we freely open ourselves up to his control. He's glad for that. He's thrilled. But there's no people he won't go after. The lady is filled with thankfulness and for the mercy of Jesus. Okay, what he did. Jesus' response is to heal us spiritually, to release us from whatever's binding us. Okay, physical healing, but this desires to create, the greatest spiritual growth possible. And so, you know what? I used a couple of examples, and one was Johnny Erickson Tada. um, she has said that she would not have had the spiritual growth she had she not had the accident where she became a paraplegic. But she spent her, once she's gotten saved, she spent the whole rest of her life as a strong advocate for the handicapped, and also for Jesus Christ. And also for Fanny Crosby, who's a favorite of mine. And she has also said that if not for her blindness, she does not believe that she would have been near the spiritual person that she was, but she was because of that. Okay, so our response, what's our response? Our response is, of course, is first of all, is for the lost to be saved, and we want them to be delivered, right? We want them to be delivered from the sin that binds them. There's so many sins we could go on and on. Okay, from that, and in that sin, what does it do? It affects you know it affects all of us. First of all, easy, okay. And one of the main things that Satan has used has been has been the family. This says 4,000 to 5,000 children are served in the children's services in Stark County every year, and Satan has, he's ravaged the family, he really has, especially the inner city family with children, growing up with, and it's not mom or dad sometimes raising this kid, it's a grandmother or just a grandfather or any, something like, or another relative. Is that good? It's not the perfect thing, and it's sad. And one of the girl at the attention center Sunday said, she said, she goes, I know, she knows that I'm controlled by children's services. I'm like, really? I mean, that's sad. To think that you don't have this attachment with the family. She didn't mention any strong attachment with the family or like an adult person or anything like that. She did mention some other um, use, but nothing like that. And so that's what she, felt like she was being controlled by, you know. And how's children's services doing? You know, they try, but again, they're very secular, and again, not real good. All right, and the outcome is that they're secular, and they're not going to give the gospel. Okay, the answer to every problem, to every bind, whether it's a disability, whether it's a sin, is begins with that person accepting what Jesus paid for us, and then Him coming in and Him growing us. Because again, if we just stay like we're saved, but then we don't grow, well, you've gotten nothing. You've gotten a very very shallow Christian. I've been accused of being shallow before, but that's not that's not what you want to be. All right, you can, you want to grow. So anyway, 13. So where am I at? Jesus' response to heal spiritually. Okay, our response desire. The number 2 under 13:13. God can use sickness and And okay, God can use sickness and disability, people with disabilities, to see how what to help us grow. All right, to help us grow, believe it or not. Okay, to see how we respond. And I think of one, was Johnny Erickson's husband, who's been with her all this time. His name's Ken, and he's been with her, and he's been by her side, and he's had to do everything for her. And I'm thinking of some some other people, um, that have to do constant help for somebody that's in their family that has real medical needs. I think of Kermit. I think it's an everyday thing. But also there was a lady that was lived in downtown Canton, and my friend Ken Case that worked at Church of the Savior downtown for a while, and I did, and he saw a lady, and she would bring out her younger child. It was a boy. I think it was a boy. Anyway, he had a disability, some kind of disability, mental retardation or something like that. But she would walk him like 1 or 2 laps around every single day, every day. It didn't matter. Winter, summer, fall, you name it. They were out there. They were out there. You know what? You talk about devotion, okay? So you know what? I think God uses that sometimes to say, "Hey, I just want you to grow a little bit. Just want you to grow." So 14. And the ruler of the synagogue answered with indignation, because that Jesus had healed on the Sabbath day, and said unto the people, there are 6 days in which men ought to work, and them therefore come and be healed, and not on the Sabbath day. So the ruler here is angry. He's angry that that this bent over lady's been healed on the Sabbath day. Not a very caring person, is he? Is that the person we want to be like? No, we don't want to be like that. But really, the ruler is jealous over the honor that Christ is going to get for doing this miracle. And it appears the ruler doesn't really care much about the problems of this lady. And the question is, okay, when we see the needs of people, do we care? Do we care about those needs? I could put myself up, there's days that, I'm not, I have, I got to wonder, do I, am I caring what I should? Are we, are we praying? Are we praying for the needs of the, bound up? Are we looking for the opportunities? And 13, 14. And there are some, there are some opportunities out there. Sometimes they come on us when we're not even looking for it. Okay. And here's a couple numbers just from Refuge of Hope. This is Refuge of Hope. They're supposed to be Christian based, but like anything, you know what? It, um, they could do better, but they're technically they're supposed to be Christian based. But you know what? Churches and some church groups can go in and serve there, and you can probably do better by going in and being a witness there than by anything that they do. Because I've heard the guys outside that live at that place, and stuff like that, and I've heard them talking, and it ain't Christian. They're not talking Christian based stuff at all. Okay, they're just they're homeless guys that are living there, and so you know, some of them it's not sinking in. Or okay, but you know what? The opportunity to reach out to those people, that's that a one-on-one thing I think does a lot better, is a lot better. All right, but here's the numbers for that. They're saying Refuge of Hope is saying that they serve 350 hot delicious meals a day. That's what they're saying. So those are 350 people would be eating those. Okay, there's two meals, a lunch and a supper. And they said so far, I think this year they have had, no, this month, I'm sorry, 1,201 men sleeping safely on their facility. Okay, and again, they do some Christian counseling and stuff like that, but by far, one-on-one is the best thing for these, especially because they're homeless. They really have a hard time trusting a lot of people. They really do. And even the homeless, usually most of the time they have some place that they're staying. And I was talking to this one guy, and he said, "No, I'm staying on the street." I go, "That's terrible. It's way too cold. You gotta find a place to stay." And he said, I can't. I go, "What about staying here?" He goes, "Oh, I tried it once." He goes, "You tried it once, He goes, "I tried it once." And he goes, "I couldn't stay away from the shadows." And the more we talked, the more I understood that this guy had some rather intense mental illness. And that's another thing with the homeless, is that they do, a lot of them do have mental illness. And then there's a good lady that was beside him. She goes, "Yeah, I heard it was really bad here," And I'm like, I don't know if that's the problem or it's the way he's looking at it is the problem, But I didn't want to cause giant conflict there or anything like that. Okay, but anyway, so the ruler, he's not caring, So anyway, 13:15, we're going to be done here in about 5 minutes. The Lord then answered him and said, "Thou hypocrite, does not each one of you on the Sabbath loose his ox or his ass from the stall and lead him away to watering?" Jesus exposes the hypocrisy of the ruler. I had to look that word up too. Hypocrisy. I didn't know how to spell it. Jesus exposes the hypocrisy of the ruler. Okay, why isn't a hypocrisy what that ruler's saying? Oh, by the way, these guys, these guys, the rabbis. They had like 12 books full of rules what you could and could not do on the Sabbath day. All right, and they had a rule that you could walk 3,000 feet and no more. Now, how do you know somebody walked 3,000 feet and no more? I have no idea how they did that, but they did. There really was, but this was me. I think these were man-made things that they had added on. Okay. Remember the thing about don't add and subtract from the Bible, but they were definitely adding on. That was one. Another one was the woman was not allowed to look in a mirror on the Sabbath day. True story, true thing. It's true. The woman, you know why that is? I'll tell you why. Because she might see a gray hair and she might pull it out. And if she did that, she was doing a job, the job of like a beautician or something like that. And she was breaking the law on Sabbath day. Okay, so that's true. It's really true. But but the fact is they were man-made. Jesus never broke the Mosaic law that was in the Word of God. Okay, when he was healing on the Sabbath, he never broke the Mosaic law that was in the Bible. What he was gone against was man-made rules that were they were no compassion for it. It was they were more concerned. They were more concerned about they were his. Guess what? Jesus tells how the ruler led his ox or his donkey loose to take them to get watered. Do you know that it was against one of their laws that you could not bring water to the animal on a staff? Some crazy thing like that. You couldn't physically bring water, but you could take the animal and take them to the water. That true. You could do that. You had to do that. Okay. He said, but isn't taking unloosing it and taking, isn't that work? It's work. You know why they twisted it like that? Because over top of people, because those animals made money for the owners. Okay, they made money, and a dead animal, how much money does it make you? Zero. Okay, zero. So they bent the rules for their animals. All right, so take away. Jesus proclaims that that our concern, our care for people should be way more than for animals. I don't know if Pastor, I don't know if he ever heard of Susan Butcher, but the Iditarod is a dog sled race in Alaska. It's like 1,500 miles, and she revolutionized it because before she came along, the dogs were not treated all that well, and they thought by treating the dogs tough and pretty harshly that they made them strong. Okay, it made them strong. Well, okay, she came along and she sang to her dogs. It's a true story. She took her dogs in the house. Okay, a lot warmer than outside there in Alaska, and she and to punish them, she punished them like a wolf mother. She would nip them lightly on the nose or on the ear to train them. All right, and Susan Butcher, she won 4 Iditarods. She did 4 Iditarods, and that's I think that might be tied for the most of anybody. And then she was leading a race. She was leading a race, and she stopped. That right at the end, just at the end, a blizzard came up. She stopped, and her main competitor passed her, and he won the race, of course, And he said she lost because she's soft. And they asked her, and she goes, I did what was right. I protected the dogs. She did it. And she revolutionized it by caring for the animals. Okay, and Jesus is saying, look what you do for your animals. Care for your animals. He says, and if you care for people, you start to care for people that much, then you can create a change. She created a change in dogs that take a sled 1,500 miles. And the last thing I'll say about hers is one of her people that knew her said her dogs would do anything for her. They would do anything. Okay, so must be something to that. So anyway, proclaims that verse 16, 13, 16, and not this woman being a daughter of Abraham, whom Satan hath bound, though these 18 years be loosed from this bond on the Sabbath day. Okay, so Jesus, what's Jesus doing? He's showing us that he's emphasizing, that the fact that Satan's happy. He's happy when you're bound up. He's happy when people are sick or he's happy when their sin is controlling you and you can't get out of it and you can't escape. Satan's happy. He's super happy about that. Okay. Um, he says, but he said, you know what? He said, but the Jewish people should be in us. We should be concerned, more not about the Sabbath, but about what we're doing for those people, right? Um, People in our community, people anywhere we come across. Um, the facts and the figures go on and on. But if you wait too long, you know what I mean. If you wait too long and you don't reach people, what do you got? What do you got? Well, you have you got this. You got this is just one thing. You got 10,000. You have 10,000 people booked into the Stark County Jail every year. 10,000 people booked in there. Um, that again, uh, they need to be they need to be reached sooner. It's not impossible. There's people do go in. People do go into the county jails, and they do let go in. People go in. Also in Faircrest, which is a multi-county facility, um, that has 30 youth beds. There, I saw one church was doing services there. Okay, I'm just throwing out some figures to you. Okay, Jesus, if verse 16, verse 16. Oh, I read. So Jesus emphasized the fact that Satan's happy to keep people bound. Our response: do we justify helping people by using excuses? And I what excuse you can come up with any excuse you want sometimes not to help somebody. The old one, I can come up with any excuse myself. I'm too busy. They may not like the message. They may not like me. I might get fired from job. um, but when we see a needy person, bound by Satan, what we should do, and you never know. Um, you never know. Now, we saw some girls, and they were from something called Layman Early College. Layman Early College. I never heard of this before in my life. It was it's a I don't. It's like high school. I guess it's a high school or junior high school. I don't know. In Canton, it's actually over off of Fulton Avenue. And these girls, mostly girls. There was one boy. They were helping at Refuge of Hope, and we weren't you know we weren't with them most of the time. We were away. But then when we did have an opportunity, I was thinking real hard. What can I come up with an idea to say to these people, to share, just to see spiritually something or other. So I think we should kind of plan that sometimes God's going to bring things in unprepared, and we have to be ready. Um, I, I admit I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure. I didn't even know who they were. I didn't even know who they were. But I did find that out at one point. So number 17, verse number 17. And when he had said these things, all his adversaries were ashamed, and all the people rejoiced for all the glorious things that were done by him. Jesus shames the rulers for his hardness of heart. People's response, you know, they rejoiced at God's kindness to this lady. They rejoiced. They were thrilled that God did this. All right, and that's what he is in the miracle business. If it's a changed heart, that person has 100% more chances than anything else, because they've shown spirit Christian based reform that's been done in some drug and alcohol rehabilitation, and also in some prison things. They far outpass. It's not even close how much more the people don't go back to that. Okay, I mean, because the recidiation risk for those that have been in the jails and stuff like that, it's ridiculous. I mean, they just coming back. I saw a guy like 50 some years old come back into the Stark County Jail, and he said, he goes, I've been in and out of the jail all my life, and I'm like, how what how could that be a good life? How could that be a great life? you know and so our response is to be like Jesus, show compassion, by taking taking I don't know what the answer is, whatever it is. I don't even know where I had it written down. Taking action taking action. Okay, so finally closing us out here, we're going to be done. Look for opportunities when they present themselves. As I said, some places are open to churches going in, church groups going in. I know Refuge of Hope is. um, um, uh, I'm I'm guessing that there's other places also, nursing homes, different places like that. So anyway, that's that's kind of it. Wrote a couple different places for some things that we just talked about, and it was the disabled and the mentally and physically challenged. Okay, they're out there, and I believe we don't necessarily have to get a job there. Now, Miss Sunday did, but that's a great opportunity. And there may be opportunity, um, if you're not employed, to reach those individuals also. The mentally ill, it's a tough one. It's a real tough one. Heartland is a big facility, but they don't even want people. I don't know. They don't want a lot of people coming in, but they also they want to treat the ill and send them out. And I'll end with this: is that the children coming into like um, the facilities, um, the attention centers. People, a lot of them are not being, they're not being disciplined, but they're being disciplined by drugging them up. Okay, giving them drug medicine. All right, and they may be thinking what they're doing is great, but the fact is that sometimes they're on a boatload of medicine, and it's being used to medicate them and control them, because probably either they're having trouble controlling it at home, or there's nobody there. There's no one there to really give them the care, concern, and the structure that they need. So anyway, that's something that they're dealing with. And then when they come out, is it a surprise that a high number of them going into drugs and alcohol? No, it's not a surprise at all. Okay, we'll close in a prayer. Lord, thank you, Lord, for today. Thank you for you, Lord, who you look out, you see the field, you see everyone, you see us, you see the need.